Welcome to today's laboratory session. Today we are going to observe the IV characteristics of a unijunction transistor. Before going on into the experiment to observe the IV characteristics of UJT, let us have a little theory background about unijunction transistor. So unijunction transistor consists of an N-type semiconducting material, and we have two ohmic contacts. One is termed as B2 and the other one is termed as B1. Both these B1 and B2 are called as bases, and here we have an emitter which is made up of a P-type material. So here we form a PN junction. Since this is an N-type semiconducting material and this is a P-type semiconductor, we have a PN junction here. So the IV characteristics will not be linear, and hence we are saying this as non-ohmic contact. And here, since the IV characteristic is linear, we say this as a ohmic contact, right? So in representation, this is the symbol of unijunction transistor. Since it is having only one junction, it is called as a unijunction transistor. And since it is having three terminals, one emitter and two bases, it can be represented like this. Unlike JFET, we have an arrow for emitter, and this is the diagram which is used to identify the leads in the unijunction transistor. The lead, which is here you call it as emitter, that is to the right of the notch is called as emitter, and to the left is B1, and the remaining you take it as B2. And even if we call it as a transistor, it is not used for amplification, but it is used as a switching device. It is commonly used as a switching device, and this represents the equivalent circuit of a unijunction transistor. This PN junction is represented by a diode here, and this ohmic contact B2 is represented by a resistor RB2, and the ohmic contact B1 is represented as a variable resistor RB1, because the bias voltage that is given to this diode will decide the resistance of this value of this resistor RB1. And since the value of since the emitter is made very close to B2, the resistance of B2 will be less. So the value of RB2 will be less. RB2 will be always less than RB1, and the value of RB1, that is resistance of this base B1, depends on the bias voltage VE. What is the voltage we are giving here? Input voltage that will decide what is the resistance of this RB1. And usually this resistance RB1 will vary from 4 ohms to 40 kilo ohms. And this is the diagram with the bias voltage. Here it is VBB. This voltage is applied between the two bases B1 and B2, and hence we say this voltage as VBB. This will be a constant voltage, and this represents a emitter voltage, that is the input we are going to give, and this value we can change. So this is a variable voltage, variable bias voltage, and this is a constant voltage, and RB1 is the variable resistance here, and RB2 is the constant resistance, which is lower than the value of this RB1, and the voltage dropped across this RB1, we call it as VRB1, right? And the value of VRB1, and before moving on to that VRB1, let us see what is the interbase resistance. So I said this is the resistance of B1, the terminal B1, so we say it is RB1, and since it is the resistance of B2, we say it is RB2. The total resistance between this B1 and B2, you call it as interbase resistance. With no bias voltage applied, the interbase resistance RBB is equal to RB1 plus RB2. With this emitter voltage as 0, the voltage that is dropped across this RB1 will be given by RB1 VRB1 is equal to RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2 into VBB. So here these two resistors acts as a voltage divider. So we have this voltage that is dropped across the resistance RB1 is equal to value of that resistance RB1 divided by the total resistance RB1 plus RB2 into the voltage that is applied here between the bases, that is VBB. So the voltage that is dropped across the resistor B1 is equal to VRB1 is equal to RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2 into VBB, and we call this as RB1 by RB1 plus RB2. We call this as intrinsic standoff ratio. So we say RB1 is equal to, this value can be taken as eta, which is the intrinsic standoff ratio of the diode, eta into VBB. Or in other words, I can also write this eta is equal to, from this equation I can write eta is equal to VRB1 divided by VBB. So we have eta is equal to VRB1 divided by VBB. So we have two values for eta. We can find eta from these values, that is eta is equal to RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2. If we do have the values of voltage, we can again find out the intrinsic standoff ratio as eta is equal to VRB1 by VBB, and these are the two formulas that is used to calculate the value for intrinsic standoff ratio in a UJT, and this value of intrinsic standoff ratio varies from 0.51 to 0.82. And moving on to the characteristics of UJT, we have when this voltage, emitter voltage is made equal to 0, we will be having only this voltage VBB that is applied across this RB2 and RB1, and at this point the midpoint will be having a potential of plus, right? So this is a diode whose P region is this. This is the positive of the diode, and this represents the negative of the diode. So the negative region of the diode is connected with positive terminal. It means that the diode is reverse biased. So if you consider a diode, this is a PN junction. So this is the P region, which is having holes as majority carriers and electrons as minority carrier, and this is the N region where we have hole as minority carrier and electron as majority carrier, and this is the depletion region, and this is depleted of mobile charge carrier. Some of the electrons from this donor ion goes into the acceptor ion. So donor atom goes into acceptor atom, and so this donor atom will become a positive donor ion, and the acceptor atom, after accepting an electron from the donor atom, turns into a negative acceptor ion, and this is the internal potential barrier, or that is the voltage that is dropped across the diode here, right? So the voltage that is dropped across this diode will be equal to this internal potential barrier. In the case of germanium, it is equal to 0.7, and in the case of silicon, it is equal to 1.12. So this is an unbiased diode, right? So if you give a bias, if you give a reverse bias, that is if P is connected to negative potential and N is connected to positive potential, what happens here is this positive potential, if you increase the value of this positive potential, the holes which are the minority carriers in the N region will cross the junction, and there will be a leakage current over here due to the flow of minority carrier, right? And what happens if you give a forward bias? If I want to give a forward bias, this will become positive and this will become negative, right? This is negative and this is positive now. So what happens now? This is a negative potential now, and this is N region. So this negative potential will make the majority carriers, that is electrons, to move across the junction, and now the direction of current will be, flow of electrons will be in this direction, right? So when you reverse bias this diode, there will be leakage current flowing in this direction, that is due to the flow of minority carriers. And when you give a forward bias to this diode greater than this VD, these electrons from N region, that is majority carriers from N region, will cross the junction, and there will be a flow of current in this direction, right? So for reverse bias, the leakage current flows in this direction, and for forward bias, the current moves in this direction. The flow of electrons will be in this direction, right? With this knowledge, let us go on to the working of a UJT. So the first thing is, you are going to take VE, that is less than VBB, eta VBB plus VD, right? So eta VBB is the voltage that is dropped across this RB1. So at this point, the voltage drop is equal to eta into VBB, and we have a VD here. The VD is the potential drop across this diode. Now if the value of VE is less than this potential drop at the midpoint, that is eta VBB plus VD, then what happens is the diode will be reverse biased. See, say for example, if VBB is equal to 2 volts, if VE is equal to 1 volt, right? So here it will be plus 1 volt and here it will be plus 2 volt, right? So the diode will be more positive at this side than this side. So what happens is there will be a reverse bias in this case. So in reverse bias condition, as we had seen here, in reverse bias condition we do have only the flow of minority charge carriers in this direction, in opposite direction to that of the majority carrier current, right? So in the characteristic, if you see, when you increase, if VE is less than eta VBB plus VD, there will be a current, right? This axis represents IE and this axis represents VE. If you increase the value of VEE, right, up to this, when this VE is less than VBB plus VD, there will be a current, there will be an emitter current that is due to the flow of minority carriers, and the direction of current will be in this direction, right? So what happens if you increase the value of this VE? If you increase the value of VE, this part will be less reverse biased. The reverse bias voltage will decrease at this point when you increase the voltage of this VE. When you increase the input voltage, the voltage drop at this point will get decreased. What it means is the reverse bias on the diode will get decreased. So when the reverse bias gets decreased, the minority current, the leakage current will get decreased, right? So here when you increase the value of VEE, this is the point that is equal to eta VBB, right? So when you increase VE slowly towards eta VBB, the reverse bias voltage on the diode decreases and the leakage current also decreases, right? So this is the value of current that is in opposite direction. If you increase the value of VE, the minority current, that is the leakage current, decreases in value and it becomes completely zero when VE is made equal to eta VBB, right? So when this VE is made equal to this eta VBB, what happens is the diode will face no bias at all. That is, this voltage, that is eta VBB, will give you a reverse bias voltage. This VE will give you a forward bias voltage. If VE is equal to eta into VBB, the bias on the diode will be equal to 0 and hence there is no current at all, right? So in the characteristics, as you see here, at this point when VE is equal to eta into VBB, the value of IE is equal to 0. Why the value of emitter current is 0? Because the input current we are giving to the emitter will be just cancelled by the voltage drop at the midpoint due to this voltage across two resistors, right? So when VE is equal to eta VBB, the diode will be no more biased. It is in an unbiased condition and hence there is no flow of current and hence current IE is equal to 0. Now let us check here. So when VE is less than eta VBB plus VD, the diode will be reverse biased due to the voltage across the two bases, and only minority carriers will move across the junction and constitutes a leakage current. In this condition, you say UJT is switched off. So unless you make VE to be equal to or greater than eta VBB plus VD, the diode is considered to be in switched off condition. So when VE is less than eta VBB plus VD, the diode will be simply switched off. Now if you increase the bias voltage at the emitter end, when you increase the value of VE to eta VBB, there will be no bias on the diode, and the current flowing will be equal to 0, right? And if you increase the emitter voltage to be equal to eta VBB plus VD, this is the voltage that is dropped across the diode will be forward biased. If you increase the value of VEE to be equal to eta VBB plus VD, the diode now will be in forward biased condition. So as you have seen here, the flow of current due to majority carriers will be opposite in direction, and if you increase this forward bias voltage, the current value increases, right? So here, so when VE is equal to eta VBB plus VD, the forward bias there will be a forward bias on the diode, which makes the flow of emitter current, and that point voltage you call it as peak point voltage. Why you say it as peak point voltage? You can see here, when VE is increased from 0, the minority carriers increases, the leakage current decreases to 0 when VE reaches eta VBB, and if VE is taken beyond eta VBB, or if I take VE to be equal to eta VBB plus VD, right? This is the value of peak point voltage, which is equal to eta VBB plus VD. The value of emitter current will be maximum. Since the value of, this is the emitter current on the x-axis, so the value of emitter current is maximum when VE is equal to eta VBB plus VD. And hence you say this voltage that is given as input, you call it as peak point voltage. So this peak point voltage is nothing but it is eta VBB plus VD, right? So what happens when you increase the emitter current then? So if you increase the emitter voltage, emitter bias voltage, so what happens is, if you increase the emitter bias voltage here, the emitter current will increase, right? The emitter current, the flow of current will be in this direction. So emitter current increases. If current increases, resistance will decrease. According to our Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. If current increases, resistance decreases. So the value of this resistance will decrease, right? So the value of current increases and the value of resistance decreases, and here we have the value of current that is increasing from peak point, and this region you call it as a negative resistance region, because here voltage also drops. When you increase the value of VEE beyond eta VBB plus VD, the value of emitter current increases, and consequently the value of this RB1 decreases, and the value of decrease in the value of RB1 makes the value of VE to get decreased, right? So here whatever Ohm's law says is V is equal to I into R, right? So if current increases, voltage should increase, but here in our case the current increases here, right? When you increase the forward bias voltage, the current in the circuit increases, that is IE increases, leading to a decrease in the RB1, and simultaneously the value of VE also gets decreased. So as a result, what you are seeing here in UJT is when this IE increases, the value of VE is found to decrease, right? So this you call it as negative resistance. What it means is, this is our Ohm's law. It says that whenever current increases, voltage should increase, or whenever voltage increases, current should increase. But actually here what happens is, when you increase the current, the voltage decreases, and hence you say there is a presence of negative resistance, right? So this is the region of negative resistance, that is when VE is greater than eta VBB plus VD, there will be an increase in the value of emitter current IE. Simultaneously, there is a decrease in the value of resistance RB1, which decreases the voltage VE, right? So since a voltage decreases with increase in current, this region from peak point voltage to this valley point voltage, you call it as negative resistance region, right? And up to this point, which gives the minimum value of voltage, that is emitter voltage, you call it as valley point voltage. And if you increase the bias voltage at the emitter end. After this valley point, the voltage becomes constant. The voltage becomes constant. IE increases, but the voltage becomes constant, which is called as saturation region. Now let us go into the experiment. So this is our diode. This is our setup to observe the IV characteristics. Here, as you can see, this represents the emitter voltage VE, and this represents the voltage between bases B1 and B2. Right here, inside this setup, we have the UJT. So between the base B1 and B2, we have this VBB, and between the base B1 and the emitter, we have this VE. This VE is taken and given to a voltmeter. This represents the current, emitter current. So we have taken two terminals to the ammeter. It is connected to a milliammeter, and again here it is connected to a voltmeter. So we need to give an input voltage. This input voltage, it is to be kept constant, and this input voltage is variable, right? The voltage that is given between the bases B1 and B2 should be kept constant, and the value of VE should be raised. As long as this VE is less than eta VBB plus IE, you don't have any current in the milliammeter. If you raise the value of this VE beyond VBB plus VD, you will be having some current in the milliammeter. That is the emitter current that is shown by the milliammeter. And let us do the experiment. So let me switch on the apparatus. You now check the value of this is IE. This voltmeter will give you the value of VE, and this voltmeter will give you the value of VBB, and this represents IE, emitter current. This is our input emitter voltage, and this is the voltage, a constant voltage that is applied between the two bases, right? So let us set the voltage between the bases to be 4 volt, right? So here I have a knob, a variable knob to vary the value of this VBB. Let me put this to 4 volt. Now the value of VBB is equal to 4 volts. Let us check it in the manual. See, I had given VBB is equal to 4 volts. Now let us check the thing. Now I have VBB is equal to 4 volt. Now I need to change the value of VE, and I need to observe what is the value of emitter current, right? So let me change the value of VE using this knob. Let us check the value of V here. Please observe carefully. Let me show you the milliammeter also. So check here. Now the emitter voltage is, you please check up the upper reading, because I had given the terminal to 15 volts. So let us check the upper terminal. I am increasing the value of emitter voltage. You can see still the emitter current is equal to 0. What it means is emitter voltage is less than eta VBB plus VD now. So let me increase the voltage. Now the voltage is around 3. Check now, there is a current in the milliammeter and the voltage suddenly dropped, right? Let me show it once again. You observe VBB is kept at 4 volt. This is the voltage that is given between the two bases. VBB is set as 4 volt, and this is the value of emitter voltage. Let me increase the emitter voltage. You try to observe the value of emitter current. The value of emitter voltage is increased now. It's 0.5, 1, and 0.5, 2, 2.5, 3. Observe very carefully. 3.5. Sorry, now only it is 3. See, at 3.5 it suddenly drops. the value of emitter current increases and the value of VE decreases, you can see a decrease in the value of VBB also. Initially we have set it at 4, now the value of VBB also decreases. As we had seen in this characteristics, when you increase the voltage of emitter, when VEE is increased, the current will remain at 0 up to this point when the value of VEE becomes equal to eta VBB, and after that if you slightly increase the value of VE, there will be an increase in the current, right? So at this point VE is equal to VBB plus VD, and this represents peak point current, right? Up to this point there is no emitter current, and after this point, if you increase the value of VE, suddenly the milliammeter shows you an emitter current, that is here, right? So the VE becomes maximum at 3, that thing you call it as peak point voltage, and after that if you increase the value of VE, the emitter current increases, right? Emitter current increases and the value of VE just drops to valley point voltage. So the observed value of 3 is our peak point voltage, and from 3 suddenly it dropped to 1. So this 3 represents peak point voltage and 1 represent valley point voltage. After that, if you increase the value of VE, IE will also increase. This will show you a linear characteristic between I and V. Let us check it up again. So let me put this VE to 0, right? VBB is now at 4. Watch the value of VE and IE. If I increase the value of VE, let me increase it. Now it is 0.5. Observe the value of current. It is still 0. 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, right? Up to 3, the value of milliammeter is equal to 0. That is up to emitter voltage of 3, emitter current is equal to 0. When I increase the emitter voltage now, see, there is a sudden drop to 1. So emitter voltage drops to 1 and there is an emitter current, right? Now, even if I increase the value of VE here, there is no change in the voltmeter that corresponds to VE, but there is an increase in current. Check here. VE has gone to valley point, and the value of milliammeter increases, right? And check the value of VBB, it is also dropping, right? So as we had seen, when you increase the value of VE up to peak point voltage, the emitter current increases, and suddenly the emitter voltage drops to 1. This is the point at 3 volt, and this is the observed point, valley point at 1 volt. Now beyond this, if you increase the value of VE, IE also increases. So this will be a linear characteristic. This region you call it as a saturation region. This region you call it as a cutoff region, because up to this point you don't have any emitter current at all. So the diode is said to be in switched off condition, and this you call it as cutoff condition. And here you say it is negative resistance region from peak point voltage to valley point voltage, because here current increases but voltage decreases, and hence you say it is a negative resistance region. And after valley point, if you increase the voltage VE, current also increases. So this is what I have observed, the values for a constant VBB of 4 volt. Up to 3 volts in VE, I don't have any current. At 3 volt, suddenly the milliammeter shoots up to 1.5 and VE suddenly drops to 1. So this represents our peak point voltage, this represents our valley point voltage, and after this valley point voltage, even if I increase the value of VE, the VE remained constant and the value of this emitter current increases, right? So actually the value of VE remains constant, but if you see the value of VBB, that was decreasing, right? See here, initially we have put it to 4, but now the voltage is equal to only 2, right? So the bias voltage now decreasing from this 4 to, this is the bias voltage we gave between the bases. So this 4 volt now becomes 1 volt, right? So the value of VBB decreases, that is the total bias voltage, that is totally this VE with VBB, if you consider VE is equal to VBB plus eta VBB plus VD. So when there is a decrease in VBB, there will be a decrease in IE, right? So IE remains at 1 and there is a increase in the value of emitter current. So here, so the value of emitter current increases as always, and the value of input voltage attains a peak point, comes to a voltage point, a valley point, then it attains saturation. Right? This is how you need to do the experiment. You need to keep the value of VBB at different voltages between 0 volt to 15 volts. You can keep VBB at any desired voltage, and you can change the value of VE, and you can observe the value for IE in the milliammeter. And you need to draw a graph. I can show you the graph here. So VE is taken along y-axis and IE is taken along x-axis. And here the curves were drawn for different VBBs. Here VBB is taken as 0 volt, 5 volt, 10 volt and 12 volt. See, for each of the values, this represents the peak point voltage, and suddenly you have the valley point voltage, right? So these are the valley point voltages. You don't have any points between peak point and valley point voltage. And if you increase your VE still, the value of voltage will remain constant and the value of current increases. This is the value of IE. IE increases and the value of VE remains constant. Right? This is how you need to you need to observe the IV characteristics of a UJT. Hope you understood this experiment. In the experimental part, what you need to do is you have to keep the VBB at a constant value. You need to vary the value of VE, and you need to observe the values of IE, and you need to plot a graph between VE and IE. That is it. So this gives you the IV characteristics of a UJT device. Thank you.